Hi everyone, welcome back. So in this chapter so far we have seen how the size and shape of the cells have evolved for very specific functions that they perform. Now in this and next few videos, let's take a journey to learn about some of the very important components of a cell and see how all of them work together. Before we start though, you should understand something. Whenever we see cells either under a microscope or see it in pictures, we see a two-dimensional view of a three-dimensional cell. So, what does that really mean? Well, imagine if a cell is spherical like a ball. When we see an image of a cell, we actually look at it from one angle, say from the top. So, from this angle, what shape will we see? Well, we will see a circular shape, right? Instead of the three-dimensional sphere. So, when we look at the cells and study more about the components, keeping this in mind will help us visualize how these components are actually present inside the cell much better. So, remember this and let's begin. We will start with the outermost component of any cell, that's called the cell membrane, or also called plasma membrane. Now, think of it like the wrapping that keeps all the components of the cell inside. The main function is to protect the cell and act like a security guard. Well, who will keep a close watch and control who is allowed to come in and who is allowed to go out. So, this layer is actually semi-permeable, meaning it can let in some substances but not the others. Now, as we have seen before, actually cells need to take in some nutrients from their surrounding and excrete out some waste. And the cell membrane is responsible to regulate this transport of substances in and out of the cells. Well, at the same time, there might be some substances surrounding the cell that are harmful to it. Again, it is the job of this cell membrane to block these from entering the cell and thus prevent any harm. While the cell membrane provides protection against these harmful substances entering the cell, it is actually a very thin, soft layer and can break if a lot of force is applied to it. Some organisms, especially plants, who have to withstand these strong mechanical forces like the sun, wind and storms, need some additional protection. This is where the next component called the cell wall comes into play. Unlike the cell membrane, the cell wall is rigid and very thick, which helps in protecting the plant against all of these mechanical forces. The rigid nature also helps the cell hold its shape, thereby making it very easy to bind to adjacent cells. So the plant cells can actually be cemented together more easily, forming a thick and dense layer. That's why actually we see some parts like the bark of the tree have this strong and rough outer layer. But now you might be wondering, why is cell wall present only in plants and not in animals? Well, we animals can also use more protection, right? Well, having a cell wall provides a lot of protection but also comes with very high rigidity, which results in loss of freedom to move. Now, this is great for plants since they don't really have to move to find food. As long as they get sunlight, they can make their own. Animals, on the other hand, they need to move around to find their food. And the rigid cell wall will just restrict this movement and make it hard to find the food. And the second thing is, because animals can actually move, they can find shelter against these strong forces that we saw like wind and storm. But plants, they cannot move. And that's why plants actually have evolved to have this cell wall that gives them a better chance of survival with this added protection. So remember, these two components, the cell membrane and the cell wall both actually provide protection to the cell in their own ways. Now, before we leave, I would like you to think about something. It almost sounds like magic when we think about how the cell membrane can be so smart to know who to let in and who to keep away. I would like you to explore this on your own. I'll give you a hint though. Search for membrane channels or membrane gates to find the answer. Okay? Add your comment down below when you do. In the next video, we will continue to look deeper into the cell and learn about two more very important components: the cytoplasm and the nucleus. Meanwhile, if you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, and see you soon.